Hello, and welcome back to Factorio. This is episode 26 of our Factorio 0.17 tutorial walkthrough Let's Play. In the last episode, we set up advanced oil processing as well as oil cracking and lubricant production. And in this episode, we're going to make the last important oil product that we need, solid fuel. Now, I did make one small change between episodes. I've added this pump here just to feed the heavy oil into the lubricant system a little bit more efficiently. We've completed character logistics slots. We will grab character logistics slots 2. And in case you're wondering what that's all about, if you hit E to bring up your inventory and crafting screen, you now have a new tab in the middle for logistics. These are your logistics slots. These are your logistic trash slots. This becomes important when we have robots. We're not going to discuss it right now, but we will go over it in great detail at a later date. Now, we want to make solid fuel. Solid fuel is an important ingredient in a number of processes, and it's also a really good way to run our trains. And if you look over here, you can see that you can make solid fuel from light oil, from petroleum gas, or from heavy oil. Now, this is important. Back when we only had basic oil processing, that technology necessarily limited us to making solid fuel only from petroleum gas because we only could produce petroleum gas. But with advanced oil processing, we can now have the other two recipes. The reason this is important is that the ratios are different. If you look, it takes 10 light oil, or 20 petroleum, or 20 heavy oil. But light oil, we can crack 30 light oil into 20 petroleum, which means this is a very expensive way to produce it. And we can crack heavy oil, 40 heavy oil into 30 light oil, so this recipe is still more expensive than this one. Which means we always want to use this recipe right here. Now, if we absolutely had to have solid fuel before we got advanced oil processing for some reason, we could use that one in the interim, but really, this is the one we want. And like most other things oil-related, this one is made in a chemical factory. So let's see the recipe. We're using this one right here. And as you can see, it's 1 ingredient light oil, 1 output solid fuel. So to leave our traditional gap of 3, we need 1, 2, 3, and then this is where we can put our pipeline. So we can place this right here. And why I want to leave a gap of 3 will become evident much later in the series. So again, we're going to do our similar setup. Again, because it's only 1 input and 1 input, we don't have to actually stagger them by the width of the power pole, but I kind of like having it all look nice and aligned. Let's see, this produces 1 every 2 seconds, so to fill our belt we'd need like 30. I don't know that we can really support 30 at this time, so let's just make a bunch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's half a belt. That's pretty good. Now, because we only have the 1 fluid input, it might be tempted to just run a long pipe straight across, and we can certainly do that, but if we did, we would not be able to walk between these machines. And I kind of like being able to walk between the machines. It helps not get stuck places. And I'm out of undergrounds once again. Do I have the ability to make any more? No. Alright, I will be right. Let's build out everything else, and then I will go grab some undergrounds. And while we're running, we might as well do something useful. And let's bring this down to our bus. No train. Is that where we want to put it? Yeah, I think that's a great place for it, actually. Yeah, let's put it right there. This really can live over here. Okay, this is the level of the mall, and that's far enough for the moment. Where's our underflows? Right here. And I will see you folks back at the oil refinery. Okay, here we go. And now this needs to come into from the light oil pipeline. You'll notice I stopped the heavy oil pipeline here because I happen to know we're not going to need heavy oil for anything else. And there goes our system. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. We made 15 of them, so halfway point is roughly there. So let's do this guy. And here comes solid fuel. Now, solid fuel, I'm going to grab some, is really nice because you can take a look and see it says vehicle acceleration 120%, vehicle top speed 105%. So both trains and cars run faster on this than on coal. And it also has a higher fuel value, 12 megajoules versus 4, so it lasts longer. Which means we're going to pick up a couple of stacks of that for use in our car, and we're gonna stop carrying along coal. We're also going to start feeding our trains from this because it's more efficient, and also because coal is a resource we will use up eventually. Oil is an unlimited resource. If you look at any patch of ore, it says, 431,000, 295. That's how much is left. Now we have some bigger patches here, 28 million. But oil just gives a yield percentage. So oil never runs out. What it does do is it slows down. The more we pump out of it, the slower it keeps pumping. But we can compensate for that with some technology later on, and also just by adding more oil fields. So I would much rather use up oil, and thereby solid fuel, than coal. So we can bring in a line of it right about here. Yep. So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to put in a splitter. Right here, we're going to put in a splitter. No train. No train. cut it off here. I'm gonna drain out this coal because I want to start just using the solid fuel. And I'm gonna connect that right here. And I'm not gonna bother doing anything else with it right now because these trains are full, and until it uses up some of the coals in the trains, it's going to keep going. Now we need to send some more down that way. And we're gonna do that. Fortunately, I'm gonna be picking up a lot of coal this way, but that's okay. So again, we will drain out this coal. Well, that's okay. Now, we could also run our power plants on solid fuel, but I don't think I'm going to transition to that quite yet, because I'm hoping that we will upgrade power plants relatively soon. So let's shove all this coal into our steam plants. Speaking of which, how's our power doing? Our power doing is just fine right now. Alright, so we now have solid fuel production, some of which is going to the bus, some of which is going to feed our trains. Great. With resuming research, let's go ahead and grab advanced electronics, because that's blocking a lot of things. And while we're doing that, let's do a slight upgrade on our personal gear. Now we'll be driving on with solid fuel so we can crash into things twice as fast. Like that. Alright. I want to put away some of this extra stuff we have in our bags that we don't need right now. There we go. Let's see. The next thing I would like to do is pop down the blueprint again. Where's our mall? Did that unlock anything? It should have. Yes, it unlocked some things up here that we don't really need yet. It unlocked some stuff here that well, certainly we want this. This is the substation, and it's quite handy. We could be making that. Unlock anything else interesting yet? Nothing down here. This is all unlocked. That's not there yet. These two and this one are not things we really need right now, although, come to think of it, there's really no reason not to start building them. They're not things we're ready to use yet. That's working. These are limited, right? Yes. And I will explain what this is all is a little bit later when we get into more things with robots. The advanced electronics unlocks a whole lot of stuff, and we will start working on some of that. But in the meanwhile, it is time to upgrade our armor. I would like to get this here, modular armor. So we need quite a bit. We need 50 steel plates and 30 red circuits. Well, we have steel plates right here. We don't really need the copper. It is possible to line up so you're only taking the one. Is that enough? Yes. Modules we really don't need yet. Let's do that. And we needed red circuits. We got the greens as well. Alright, let's make that. Let's pop the greens back into something. Let's pop the steel back into something. Alright, we've got modular armor. We're going to stick this right here instead of our heavy armor because modular armor is better. You can see it has physical 6, explosion 30 versus physical 6, explosion 20. But most importantly, it does two things. First, it increases our inventory size, bonus of 10. We now have more slots over here. And second, it has a grid. You can see it down the bottom. It says equipment grid size 5 by 5. Let's see. Well, what is that for? That's for inserting additional stuff. If we right-click on it, we get a little grid here that we can put things in. What kind of things? If you hit E under the combat menu, all of these are things that we can insert into there. Now, most of them we really can't easily make yet, but what we do want to get in there is some portable solar panels, some batteries, and night vision equipment. So let's take a look. We need for this solar panel, I believe we can handcraft a solar panel. Yep. So we need some more steel. Let's grab some more steel. We can make 2 of them. Sure, let's make 2. Now, batteries are more complicated because batteries have to be made in a chemical plant. We cannot make them without one. Which means we should start production of batteries. If we look over here, batteries require iron plate, easy, copper plate, easy, and sulfuric acid. Well, we are not yet making sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, you can see, is made from iron plate, sulfur, and water. Well, those are all things we can do. So the next thing we're going to do right here is set up a production of batteries, because batteries are going to be important for a whole lot of things. Where did I drop off chemical plants? Because I should not have put them away yet. Let's pick some up and build our next small factory. So let's put it here. Next thing we're going to build is sulfuric acid, not batteries. We can grab more braking force. So this requires water, sulfur, and iron plate, and output sulfuric acid. Now, this is a 1-second craft time, so if we want to do a reasonable amount of this, we're going to need a fair amount of sulfur, but not a whole lot of iron plates. So what we're going to do is this. This is the pattern we're going to use. We'll feed in water like this. This belt will hold sulfur, and this belt will hold iron. We can use our stack inserter to load this quickly, and a red inserter to load this slowly. And then on the other side, we can set up the feed for water. And over here, we can just put the same sort of thing. Now, since this is not putting out on a belt, there's no reason to make it a mirror image array like we usually do. We can just make this and Since it takes 5 sulfur per second and we're using yellow belts, let's build 3 of these. Because that's all we can really support with yellow belts, and I do not want to upgrade our belts quite yet. And we're going to need power. Okay. Something like that. Now, let's start with water. Where did we set up water? Right here. Worker robot cargo size, lovely. And sulfur is going to come in on this line right here. So let's put in a splitter. That's sulfur. And we will need iron. And we will output this onto our liquids bus here. Let's see, we only have water on it right now, so the very next one can easily be sulfuric acid. And I don't believe we need to go to the left at all. So we'll place that there. Yeah, let's get uranium processing. We're going to want to do nuclear power soon. So that's sulfuric acid. The next thing we need to do is produce the batteries themselves. Now, batteries again are made in a chemical plant. And our ingredients are iron plate, copper plate, and sulfuric acid. It's a 4-second crafting time. So to fill a belt, we're going to need a whole lot. We don't need to fill a belt right now. And let's see. We only need a split belt will be more than sufficient. Now these are outputting onto a belt, so we're going to want to do our usual mirror image belt here. And in this case, it's not a problem because with only one input, mirror imaging works much simpler than when you have multiple liquid inputs. So we're going to do that. That. Power armor. Now I really want to get power armor soon, but we need to make blue circuits for that, and we're still a bit off from that. Alright, yeah, we'll use this arrangement. We should add some lights to this array as well. So this needs to be split iron and copper. Now let's start on those modules. They will unlock some other stuff. Alright, so this, we can make a couple more of these. We don't necessarily need to build them all out yet. Now, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to do that. Now, yes, I can bring sulfuric acid across directly here, but I find when I start doing that, I get into a spaghetti maze, so I usually prefer to go down to the bus and then back from the bus. I think that's a cleaner way to do things. Now, you will note that I've not built out the rest of the array because we will need a lot of batteries further down the road, but for the moment we only need a few to make what we want to make here. So I'm going to just leave them here because what we need is a couple of these. Let's see, which means we need a few more batteries. There we go, 10 batteries. And we need a little bit more steel. To make 2 batteries. And the last thing I want to do is make this, which we have steel, we need a little bit more red circuits. Excellent. Alright, while that's crafting, let's get them on the bus, because even though we're not using them right now, there's no reason not to put them on the bus. Yeah. Now let's see, where do we want them? Oh, that's probably too far. We have solid fuel here. This is the liquids. So I think this one right here. Where did I put it? Here. I think I want it here. They can live there. Alright, so now that we've made some of this stuff, we're going to right click on our module armor. We're going to put in our 2 solar panels. We're going to put in our 2 batteries. And we're going to put in our night vision equipment. Now notice that we have a lot more space. The problem is generating power. These solar panels really don't generate a whole lot. They're only 30 kilowatts each. The batteries will store a good bit, so that's not a problem. But anything more energy intensive is going to need to wait for better tech. Now, the next thing I would like to craft, and it's going to be very marginal with this little power, is the personal roboport, which is right here. So I need steel, more batteries, and more red circuits. Not a problem. Here's steel. Here's batteries. We're good, that's good. Red circuits. And finally, now that we're getting the roboport, we can look at making robots themselves, which we will do in the next episode. Meanwhile, I can open this and put our personal roboport in here. It's going to require to charge, and you'll notice that the robot recharge rate is as much as 2 megawatts. We're only producing 30 kilowatts here. So to fully satisfy the roboport, we would need like 70 of those, 60 of those. We're certainly not going to make that many, but we can make a few more and kind of struggle along. Now, normally I would absolutely be setting this up for handcrafting, for automation, but I really just want to make a small amount of this stuff for my personal use, not really yet for the factory to be using. It looks like we really need to make more copper. Copper is suffering. Advanced materials processing, again, that's going to unlock a lot of tech for us. And it's gonna slowly handcraft some more solar panels, which we will get back to in the next episode. In the meanwhile, we've accomplished quite a lot this episode. We got solid fuel produced and placed on the bus, as well as placed to feed our trains with. We've got modular armor with some components in it. We've got sulfuric acid and battery production up in a limited fashion. And this will allow us to finally get some robots going for our personal use that'll make the rest of the series much faster, building much less tedious. In the next episode, we're going to tackle some of that, but we're also going to need to work on upgrading our resources. We desperately need more copper, and we definitely need more iron gears, which probably means we're going to need more iron plates. So a few more arrays of iron, a few more arrays of copper. Maybe it's going to be time to hook up this copper patch. We'll see what happens with all that in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons so you can get notifications of future episodes, as well as just to improve the visibility of the channel. That would help us out a lot. So in the meanwhile, why don't you go ahead and try one of these yourselves, get some solid fuel up, get yourself some modular armor, and as always, don't forget to save.